There we go. Oh, Lois, it is such a pleasure to welcome you back. So you were one of our star students who started university this September, started the course mid-autumn term, wasn't it? I think, was it
Oh,
October, November time?
yeah, October. But yeah, it's really lovely to see you again. I've missed you.
Oh, and we've missed you. It's been yeah, we there's many recordings now where we mention your name and talk about strategies and tools you use. So first of all, fill me in. How's uni been going?
Wow, it's been brilliant. And if I'm perfectly honest, the first week I was half expecting somebody to tap me on the shoulder and go, "Oh, you out," because I was like, "Oh, I had such imposter syndrome." But now I'm like, yeah, I should be here, and I am here, and I'm enjoying it. So yeah, it's just that realization that you're actually doing it that was the difficult bit at first.
But then you achieved a distinction with us. So like, although the imposter syndrome snuck in, you absolutely earned your place there,
Yeah.
with bells on. So
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and our university has just won University of the Year in the Times Higher Education Awards. So it's Anglia Ruskin. So
that's amazing. So you're studying nursing at Anglia Ruskin.
yeah, the Peterborough campus. So it's all quite new and shiny because it's only been there a couple of years.
That's amazing. And your course is quite dynamic, isn't it? You were mentioning to me before that you're going to have some online simulation training.
Yes, yeah, it's simulated placement learning. I think it was SPL. They like to abbreviate everything in nursing. But yeah, they did the SPL, and we did 2 days last week. We've got 2 days this week, and it's interesting. And we it's all the cohorts of nursing, including mental health, children's, um, and adult nursing across, because there's 3 campuses. So I think there's about 700 students. So we're all split up into teams groups. So we don't know each other, but it's quite a nice experience. So yeah, I'm enjoying that.
That's incredible. So the nurse, so even if you're on a different route, you get mixed in with
Yeah.
nurses. Oh, that's really nice.
I mean, it's not too bad at the moment because the case studies we've been doing have been older people who've fallen, which was, as you know, it was the job I was doing before, whereas it's more children and mental health going forward in the next couple of weeks. So I think I'll be relying on my colleagues from the different cohorts to help on that one. I'm like, I could do old people, but it'll be interesting to see different point of view. So it's good.
That's amazing, and that gives you such a really good spread of knowledge and spread of experience. And I guess is the possibility that if you decided to change direction in the type of nursing that you wanted to do, it would make it quite fluid. You could swap onto a different course.
I think you can, but because there are some of the nurses on our course that have done the first year adult nurse and then decided to be children's nurses, so they're repeating a year. Because the way it works at our particular university, all the adult and children's nurses are on the first year together, then we separate for year 2 and then go back together in year 3.
Oh, that's
So
a nice structure. So there is possible movement, but you're still kind of in your defined cohorts and your
yeah,
courses.
yeah.
Amazing. And I did get a message from you in the first weeks, and you said, I'm doing disease prevention, and the stuff that you covered on there.
Yeah.
Was that useful, some of the content
Yeah.
that we covered?
Yeah. I mean, the first term has all been bioscience. And I think as well, it really helped with my confidence because a lot of it we'd covered with you. So I was like, oh, I recognise these words. I'm like, oh, yeah, I know that. I've learned that before. So, I mean, they obviously go that little bit further into different details. But yeah, we did about the heart. I know I was remembering you saying about the heartstrings and plucking the heartstrings.
Oh, love
Yeah.
that. That's really nice.
Yeah, and the blood vessels as well. Your little song about the blood vessels. I remembering that. So I was like, what did Laura say?
Oh, I love it. Yeah, my weird little singing. People will watch the video and be like, oh, that's what Lois meant.
it does really help because it's different and it makes it stick in your mind, so it's really helpful.
I'm so pleased. And on the sticking point, because we talked about this before, didn't we? We chuckled that you'd take the phone to bed with you so you could rewatch some of the videos.
Yeah.
And is that a piece of advice you'd sort of pass on to future students?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very lucky. My husband's incredibly understanding, so he heard you as much as I did, I think. But he always used to say how interesting you sounded, so it was. But yeah, it was helpful just to like sit and watch the videos. If there was something I wasn't sure about, I'd be like, oh, okay. And I actually used to watch a lot of the Amoeba Sisters, much to the amusement of my kids. They were just like, oh, you're watching them again? I'm like, yeah, but it just makes sense to me.
They are such lovely videos as well, aren't they?
Yeah.
So I think they're so accessible, but like engaging. They're brilliant.
Yeah.
Brought up by a few students, actually, the Amoeba Sisters. Oh, and Lois, while I remember, there was a book. Sorry, my eyes are watering. There was a book that you recommended, and you said it had been really useful. Was it the human physiology book that you'd used and you'd brought it onto your course with you?
Yes, I think I've got I've got a bit of an addiction to buying books. I've got quite a few. There is one, and I've got a whole range of these ones which I can send. But these, especially when you're doing your essays. Ooh, there we go. They got just throwing things on the floor. I don't know if I'll probably have to send you pictures of these, but I've got one that's planning your essay. They're like they're called pocket study skills, and there's getting critical. They're all on Amazon for about £3 or £4 each. Reading and making notes, doing research, and writing for university.
Amazing. So, yes, please. If you could send us your like top books, because I think that's one of the that quite a few people that have joined the course recently are like, Laura, tell me about what books I should buy. And you know me, I'm like, just use things like Britannica and all the online resources because they're free. But actually, I know and I realise that a lot of people do prefer to have a physical copy. And I know you were the same, weren't you? You preferred to have a physical reference book open.
Although we get access through university to like online reading, because there is anatomy and physiology book by, I can't remember, it's Tutora, and I think the book actually costs about £70, but it is that's what they base all our learning off. So some basic books are probably quite good, but you don't have to invest in spend loads of money because you should get access to it through the university anyway.
That's really good to know, because this is one thing I've been trying to deter people from doing, like, don't spend too much money on books because so much of it you can access online, and that's really reassuring to know that you get additional reading and book access via the uni logins. That's so handy. And then so to kind of give some future advice, because obviously you did incredibly well. You started the course and you were like, I've been out of education for a while, and I think you started, do you think it's fair to say you started the course a little nervous, but by the end you were absolutely flying? I mean, distinctions all round, and I still talk about pieces of your work and how excellent they were. Could you give me 3 top tips to future students on like how to be successful in the Access course?
Ask questions. If you're not sure, don't sit there going, oh my God, I can't work this one out. Because there was a couple of them that I really just didn't get. And I've messaged you and I was like, Laura, I don't know what they're asking here. Please, like, can you just clarify? Because I'd kind of read the question or whatever and be like, I don't know what they're on about. What am I supposed to do? And, sometimes you just get that with assignments, don't you? You just don't know what's being asked. You read the English, the words, and you're like, yeah, I understand the words, but I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Absolutely. And reading back over some of those assessment points, sometimes I look at them and I think some of the ones that you'd sent me in the past, I thought, oh, actually, when I just read that on surface, I was thinking, oh, yeah, that's what you do for that one. But actually, it could be interpreted in a different way. So, yeah, I think that was really useful for me as well. Like you'd send me like an assessment point when you'd be like, getting a bit stuck on this one. Tell me where I should be looking. And
Yeah.
that's absolutely an open invite for people to do that. Send us a message via Teams. Have you got another top tip for them?
I think particularly the cohort I was with, a lot of people kind of struggled with the I can't remember what the first module is that you do with Martina.
Oh, the study skills, yes.
Yeah. It does seem a bit of I don't know how to, you don't fully see the point in doing it until you get to university, and it was so helpful when I actually got there and I was like, oh, this is why we did all this, because I was like, what's this got to do with nursing? But you do need it, so take on board as much as you can with that. And it's obviously all the teachers are excellent. I just love you all, so you're great. So
lovely. But particularly with Martina's, like things about referencing, things about having all the course title and having the correct labeling at the top of the assignments.
Yes, yeah. So I mean, maybe a little bit, the referencing is probably still a difficult bit. I mean, it's quite hard, and it's a lot, especially if you're doing something like a nursing or some like that. They do get quite hung up on referencing and how you do it and everything, and you're just like, well, how does this make me a good nurse if I can reference properly? Which but I'm really lucky because my tutor at uni is really good, and she said, look, it doesn't matter as long as you get over the pass mark. She said writing a good essay doesn't make you a good nurse, and she says if you get all the practical stuff, she says don't worry about it, as long as you hit in the box, you'll be fine. So yeah, probably I'm trying to think. It's probably just sort of being organised. There's a couple of them I did. I think I think with it being the first year, that I think that the assignments were kind of a little bit kind of staggered. We had a bit of a gap, didn't we? But that wasn't anyone's fault. It was just and so we ended up yeah. So I must admit, I think I was still doing a few bits the night before. I was in the hotel before, about to fly out to Italy the next morning. So, but it was quite nice. I was sitting by a pool with a margarita. When I got the message from Gemma to say everything's done, it's great, you've done it, I was like, whoa, let's have another one. So
that's amazing. That's amazing. That was such helpful feedback. So you gave us that at the end, and we did really take that on board. So we've looked at that and sort of made sure that we've utilised all of that springtime to make the assignments are set then, so that we're not.
I mean, it was doable, but it was, I think if my kids had been a lot younger and I had a lot more stuff to do, I think it would have been quite difficult to get it all done in time. But we did it, didn't we?
we did, and that was the thing as well. You did it so well. I mean, so I keep promising students, keep saying to them, after they finish cells, they've climbed the mountain, all of the other 3 credit science units are just that little bit easier, that foundation of knowledge. Can you verify, is that the case, or am I?
Yeah, definitely. And the cells one, although it's like a big old meaty one, isn't it? But it's so useful when you actually go into the nursing, because you've got that basic understanding and grounding. So when they start talking to stuff and be like, oh yeah, I remember Laura telling me about this. So it's that's it's really useful. And all the assignments you do after that, they link back to it. So if you don't have that bit to start off with, it makes it, you wouldn't understand the next bits that you do. So
absolutely, there was some planning that went into that, and I definitely fully support that. Now by the end, I mean, you were absolutely flying through those assignments, weren't you? Do you think, as you get halfway through the course, does it become easier because you're in a routine?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you get into a routine, you're like, right, this, and you learn the way of like working. I mean, it's like some of the students that are on my course are saying, oh, they had a gap year, and I was like, well, I've had a gap year for 38 years. So 30 years, whatever it is. So so it's quite quite interesting. And I think as well, if you are a little bit older and you're going back into education, it's nice because you kind of look at things a little bit differently. Whereas, you know, some of the people I'm at uni with are obviously straight out of school in like 18, early 20s, and they're the same sort of age. Well, my kids are a bit older than that, but yeah, and they're all panicking. Oh, I've got to do this, got to do that, and I'm like, just chill out. You know, it's fine. Just relax. It'll be fine. Just think about what you're doing. But it turned into the course mum. If anybody's not feeling well, they come and see me. I'm just like, yeah. But,
that's so
yeah.
lovely. I can imagine you taking on that role as well, because you are like a swan. You take it all in your stride. You plan it out. You get it done. Nothing. You're unshakable, aren't you? And I think actually that comes from all those years of experience, because you had a vast and varied career, didn't you, doing all kinds of amazing things.
Yeah, it's been I've done all sorts of things. I used to clean in a rugby club after the games. That was probably the worst job I did. Knowing what had happened in there, it was there's probably a biohazard or three in there. But and then going, you know, I've been in the RAF, worked for the NHS about last 20 years. So, you know, been a childminder, done a bit of everything really. So
You really have. And I think when I was reading your personal statement, I was just like, wow, you're an absolute superhero, like all the things that you've done, but you really did bring all those skills. And I think that's what's really key. First of all, you definitely didn't shy away from learning new tasks. I mean, I think you're probably a better Canva pro than I am now. And you brought in all of the skills and expertise from your previous careers, which I think is so important not to forget. I think if you leave those skills behind you, you know, they're so valuable. All those years of experience can feed into your future. But I think the biggest thing for you was you're just such a keen learner, aren't you? Like, you're interested in science, you're interested in learning.
Yeah, and I think it obviously with access courses online, all the tutors we had were just so engaging, and it was just lovely. So, and I'm like, I must admit, I had a little bit of a lull after I'd finished all my lessons, and I was like, oh, I'm not going to see them now. I was just like, it was really sad. But yeah, because I used to look forward to the Wednesday evenings we used to do, didn't we? So, but yeah,
I
just
did.
yeah.
And how different is it for uni, like in terms of the lectures and the expectation on the assignments? Is it a big jump, or is it?
I think I mean, I'm just finishing off an essay about the effects of stereotyping on individuals with alcohol dependence and, you know, accessing healthcare. So it's quite, and that's 2,500 words. So it's not a massive, but you need to reference properly, and, you know, get the right reference in, and it's all evidence based. You need to do so, which is some of the essays that we did. I can't even think of the titles of the ones that I did for Dana.
History of the NHS, and sociology of the family. Probably. So you can see the difference. It's a step up, but it's not wildly.
No. I mean, you expect it to be a little bit harder, but and we have like bioscience lectures. We were for the first 8 or 9 weeks. We had like different. We had the digestive system, respiratory system, cellular biology. We had cardiovascular system, renal, endocrine. I can never say it, but it's the posh word for skin.
Oh, the dermatology, like
integumentary. Exactly.
You've lost me that, Lois. That's I'm like,
yeah. And I'm just like, oh yeah, and there's like all these different ones, and I think probably the worst bit is every bit of bioscience we've done, I was like, oh, this is really interesting, because when I first started, I was like, oh, I'd quite like to go down the orthopedic route, and then I came like, oh, that's interesting. Ooh, and because you go more into the way different drugs work, and, you know, the complications and what diseases and things like that. So it's like that next little bit level of, because with you guys we did like how bits of the body work, and then we moved Yeah, so but
You've like
yeah.
how that's really helpful actually. So you've looked at how it should work. We looked at how it should work, and now you're kind of looking at what happens when drugs are introduced or things aren't working properly.
Yeah.
And to just much greater depth, I guess.
Yeah. So I think we get some more bioscience after we come back from placement. I think it's about middle of. So I've got my planner up on the wall here. So
love it.
Because that's one of the best investments, is get like a big wall planner for once you get to uni, so you know when everything's got to be is due in. So it works a lot easier. So
sometimes you can get, did you get to your freshers fair, Lois?
Yeah, we did have one. Our uni's a little bit different in some respects because they don't actually have any halls or anything on our particular campus. They do on the other campuses because people tend to travel into Peterborough to work, go there. But yeah, there were some freshers stuff and everything, which my children thought it was hilarious that I was going to have freshers week at my age. So
I love it. And sometimes you can pick up the free, they sometimes give you an academic wall planner, don't they? I think that's where I got mine. But
yeah, we've got alcohol hand gel, sweet, and pop, I think it was. And I got a free pretzel as well. So
that is winning. Well, I'm going to end it there because otherwise it's going to be a huge video for Jenna.
Yeah.
She won't thank me. So final message to future access course students for science.
Just go for it and enjoy it, because you know, if you're thinking, oh, shall I, shan't I, just like, it's so worth it.
Oh, thanks, Lois.
Okay, lovely to see you.
Lovely to see you.